Is locked up without the possibility of parole over marijuana? John Payne is the executive director of Show Me Cannabis in Missouri. So, John, welcome to the Independence, and tell me about Jeff Mizanskey.
Sure, Kennedy. It's great to be here. Jeff is a guy from Sedalia, Missouri, a little town in central Missouri. And back in December of 1993, he drove a gentleman to a hotel in Sedalia, and there they picked up about 4 pounds of marijuana. And Jeff actually was not the one who was in possession of it. He was not the target of the sting operation that eventually had him arrested. It was the other guy who served 10 years in prison. But because Jeff was there, he was charged as part of the conspiracy, and because he had 2 prior cannabis-only offenses, he was sentenced to life in prison. And because of Missouri's prior and persistent drug offender law, which is unique in the nation, he is not eligible for parole. So he was actually sentenced to life without parole, and unless he gets clemency from Governor Nixon, or if there is an initiative passed that would release nonviolent drug offenders like him, he'll die in prison.
Yeah, and the 2 prior arrests, I mean, it really wasn't for a lot of pot. We're not talking about a major drug dealer. And, you know, although it was a pretty big amount of marijuana that he was kind of surrounded by in this drug bust in 1993, that wasn't a lot of weed. I mean, he really picked up a brick of what he claims he didn't even know was marijuana. I mean, they all kind of say that. Those aren't my pants. But the point is, you shouldn't spend your life in prison if you're a nonviolent guy. It is so absolutely crazy to me. I mean, it's so heartless and cruel. He's been in prison for 20 years. His kids are grown men now. I mean, those years have been robbed from him, and he has no way of getting out. Is that true?
Yeah, that's, I mean, I wouldn't, he has intervenes, the legislature or the people themselves, he will die in prison. And, you know, actually there was a guy from Sedalia as well who was arrested in a few years before Jeff for attempted rape. His name is Ronald Wayne Greer, and I came across his case while studying Jeff's case. And he was released in the middle part of the last decade, and in 2009 he reoffended and raped somebody else. And then when they tried to take him to prison, he set off he overpowered the deputy and set off a 4-county manhunt for him. And this is a guy that was paroled after being, you know, a violent crime.
The kind of
Jeff's
guy
never
who
committed
should
any
be in
violence
prison.
in his life.
Yeah, this is the kind of guy who should be jailed.
Exactly.
I mean, you have murderers and rapists who have come and gone in the time that Jeff has been sitting there for a nonviolent pot offense. It wasn't meth, it wasn't crack, even if it was, you know, come on, let's be realistic here. It was pot.
John, what's the status? I know there's been a lot of publicity about this over the last month or so. What's the status of actually trying to lobby the governor to issue clemency? Is there any hope for that?
We've done a lot of lobbying. You know, I'm the executive director of Show Me Cannabis, which is a marijuana legalization group, and we've done a lot of lobbying of the governor on this case. And we've had probably about 1,000 phone calls to his office. There have been thousands of people that have signed a petition favoring his release. And I know that we've also generated a lot of letters to his office, and the legislature is just starting their session for Missouri tomorrow. So we intend to have a lot of people coming down to talk to their legislators and to the governor's office about granting him clemency. So there's a lot of movement there, but so far the governor has not actually made any statement about this case, although he has said that he wants to free up space in prisons and, you know, put nonviolent offenders back into society. And you know, what better place to start than with this gentleman who has been a model prisoner and is in there for a very minor offense.
John, this is Camille. Any idea how many other people are facing similar circumstances?
Jeff is the only one that is sentenced to life without parole for purely marijuana offenses in Missouri. But there are a fair amount of nonviolent drug offenders in general in Missouri that have unduly long sentences. Ray Downs with the Riverfront Times, who wrote the cover story on Jeff's case, also found a number of these other cases. And there are a fair amount of people that, you know, have gotten like 20 years for a couple rocks of crack. Something that, you know, sentences that are just absolutely crazy when you consider what people go in for.
John, I hate to cut you off, but for people in Missouri who want to go and support, what's a website they could go to get some information?
they can go to showmecannabis.com. That's our website. And they can also text Jeff, Jeff, to 420-420, and that'll send mobile updates to them about the case.
Very good.
Yes,
And about
420-420.
many other things. All right. Thank you so much.